I'll do the Omkar, and after that we can have the music. Okay. So close your eyes. Realize that this is your time to be with yourself, to see yourself in a new and different way, to touch the divinity within yourself, to touch the feet of the Hanuman within you. So let's chant Om 3 times. Breathe in. Hari Om Tat Sat. You can put it.
विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर, प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया, सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा, भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज संवारे। लाए सजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुवीर हरषि उर लाए, रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई, सहस बदन तुम्हरो जस गावै, हस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावै, सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिगपाल जाते, कवि कोविद कहि सके कहते, तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा, राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा, तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना।
So for yesterday there were a few interruptions here and there. So we'll go into a brief revival of yesterday so that you can continue understanding the whole concept. I know sometimes it goes deep, but my interest basically is in giving you a depth and not to be any more satisfied with the surface of things. So in going back to the Vedic symbolism, the Vedas talk about a story where the cow is hidden in a cave and it's not able to come out. It's been hidden by the enemies. I'll talk about the enemies a little later. And then Indra comes and breaks it open, and the cow comes out and becomes, everyone is joyous. So we are trying to decode what this cow is, what is this cave in which it is hidden, what is the oceans, the pouring of the milk, all that. So here the Vedas are talking about this in very very secret language, if you want to call it that. It's not really secret, but it's coded, and so it's not within everyone's comprehension because the rishis went to tremendous amount of sacrifice and tapasya, penance, austerities, and when they found the truth, they did not want the truth to be contaminated for the generations to come. So they were very clear that they were going to keep it hidden until they found that somebody was sincere. Any part of the world, let's remember that it's not just India, any part of the world, anywhere, not any part of any world for that matter, because there are many worlds other than ours. So when the time came, they wanted to keep it pure so it could be handed down the way it was and not in a fake manner. So they had these two, the super conscious world above, that is the Sindhu or the Apraketa Salilam, the ocean of consciousness. And then you have the lower consciousness, which is called the subconsciousness, not the Western psychological understanding of subconscious. It is something like like a genetic template of all memory of the what has happened before through the phases of evolution of different beings, different creations. All that is coded there in the memory, and you call it chitta. But here they are fragmented pieces of thoughts. A thought here, a thought there. Now, between here and the subconscious world and the inconscient below, the superconscious world is called Sindhu. The lower world is called Hridayat Samudrat. It is the heart of all things, out of which everything expresses itself. So when between that upper ocean and the lower ocean are the worlds of man, human beings. It's called Antariksham. And it is from here the person draws prana, which keeps the body and mind alive up to a certain point. It's like a warranty period. Now, this person, whoever it is, has the capacity or the potential to rise into the superconscious world, cross the threshold of the supreme consciousness. It is possible, but every being, because every being holds within himself all the outward perceptions as if it were external to him. Whatever he sees outside is already hidden within us. That's what they are saying. It is like as if we are spinning a dream and we are living that dream. But that dream is from within us and we are throwing it out. So, this material life that we are going through is only the tiniest experience permitted to man. It's very narrow, it's very limited. And as he goes up, mounts into higher and higher planes of himself, new worlds are open to his life and vision, and they become the field of his experience. So each ascent that he goes up through is called the birth of the soul. Now, gods are energies, energies of the supreme, certain powers of the supreme consciousness. They have built a series of cosmic worlds in order so that people's consciousness can move toward from mortality or dying or the transient to the immortal world of superconsciousness. The gods help raise him from the dwelling of the lowest area, material, where he is subject to division by the Daityas. Daityas are, there is a rishi called Kashyapa. He has many wives. Two of them are Aditi and Diti. Aditi is the undivided consciousness, the full, the cosmic. Diti is the divided consciousness. Everything is divided. That is a split portion here. And Ditis has children, they are called Daityas. Daityas are generally um, translated as Rakshasas. So he has a wife called Diti, her children is Daityas. He has another wife called Dhanu, her children are Danavas, Rakshasas again. And then he has another wife called Aditi, and her children are Adityas, or different aspects of the luminosity that is called the sun. So what the gods do is, as the thought bundles come up, some people pick up just the mental thoughts, the emotional, the sentimental, that aspect of it, and they are able to have a lot of feelings. They are able to even sometimes visualize what is going to happen, and they become very creative, but they do not have the physical energy to actualize. They are just dreamers and poets and painters, but they are not necessarily um, dynamic people in the world. Then you have another lot of bundles. Those are called the thought bundles. You'll see them on two sides. And these thought bundles contain a lot of physical energy and things associated with life force, like health, like good body, a healthy body, all this strong body, good looking body, but no vision. So these are people who are just active and do things, but they are not visionaries. Now we need to balance both. Your thought has to be put into a vision. The vision has to be translated into energy if you have to go higher up. So here you come across a situation where some people go through this struggle and they bring all these thought bundles together. These thought bundles are called the Maruts. So Hanuman was called Maruti in his younger days. And they balance it and they go on the straight line upwards, not to the right, not to the left. Now, as they are moving up, you need a tremendous amount of prana to be able to help you go upwards. It's like going in an aeroplane. You need the wind in one side, or a bird that is flying, it needs vayu. So you have the concept of Mahaprana, which is a much higher form of prana than you have at the mortal level. And this Vayu comes and pours energy into the bundle of energy that is the seeker. And when that happens, these bundles that have within them tiny specks of Agni or fire or luminosity, this luminosity is called honey, madhu. So the person who is climbing higher and higher, from tamas he becomes more rajasic, from rajas he becomes more sattvic, and then the sattva makes him taste the happiness. He becomes selfless to a large extent. He feels good when he's giving to people. He People like him. He gets good friends. He gets saints and sadhus association. So in that sense, he is tasting the madhu all the time, and he has a sense of happiness and delight. Now, then the person starts searching for this happiness and delight, and the person starts moving into different things that give him pleasure, aided by the karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. You like something tasty and then you go over that. You said, if I have that, I don't need anything else. You get power and you said, if I have this power all my life, I don't need anything else. You have wealth. You have everything. All desires are satisfied. Then you come to a point when you say, this desire that gave me so much pleasure doesn't last, because nothing lasts. If you like eating, say, rasagulla, and you're thrilled, you're happy about it. How many rasagullas can you eat? If you eat 100 rasagullas, you'll get fed up. Anybody gives you anything sweet, you'll say, please take it away. So you get satiated, and that thrill is not there anymore. You see a beautiful sunset, you're thrilled, you write a poem about it or you paint it. But if you're sitting in front of a sunset all the time, after some time, the mind wants something different. It's not as thrilling as it was in the beginning. That is the nature of the mind, which is transmitted into the brain, and the brain makes it boring. You want something else, something else. So that's the way it has been programmed. And then you go higher, your desires, your temporary satisfaction slowly drop off. You move nearer and nearer to the permanent satisfaction or happiness. That is why in the Chandi part you'll say, Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu, different things. Prana Rupena Samstita, Guru Rupena Samstita. You can say anything you wish beyond the Chandi part itself, which is not in the Chandi part. Trishna Rupena Samstita, anything, because everything that is in nature is a form of energy. This is something we have to learn very clearly and hold in the mind. Maruts are energy, thoughts are energy, feelings are energy, Vayu, Maha Prana is energy. The mind that chooses and balances the thoughts and emotions and becomes more and more enlightened. Indra is energy. Then you go higher, so they'll say Vayu and Indra join together and help uplift the person. Now, when the person is getting uplifted, what happens? He feels more and more happy. He has a sense of tremendous satisfaction within himself. He becomes charismatic. People will go flocking to him. And then he starts feeling, wow, there must be something special about me for so many people coming around me. So you want more and more followers, more and more followers. I remember Swami Satyanandji once saying he went to Australia. There was a crowd of thousands in his early days. And he says to people in that public, he says, I see thousands here, but I haven't come for all these thousands. I've come for just one or two people, and I know who they are. I've come for them. The masses get the reflection. So they also grow up. But basically, the guru is for the to lead the disciple who is now helpless, who has no choice and is moving towards the highest. So the guru comes, guru meaning Shiva. A portion of Shiva comes as Rudra. Hanuman, who was a Maruti, now becomes Rudravatara. We'll go into the story later in life. So when you have this spiritualization of man, actually the energy that is called Rudra is a way of Shiva giving you greater and greater hits, because this is the point when you say, hey, I've done so much, open the door for me. And the guru says, not yet. I will decide the time. Here people will go to Swamiji and say, Swamiji, I've been having this problems about my finance for the past 15 years and I'm coming and talking to you and you say, do this, do that. Nothing has helped me what to do. Because not that the guru has let you down. The guru is telling you, wait, there is a time period. You have a warranty for everything. Every energy has a time period because it's under the control of Kala. Now, this progress goes on and you come to the top of the concentrated energy, and then Rudra becomes beneficial. He is no more fearful. He says, you've struggled so much and now I will help you. So he drinks your poison. That is the negativity or the mortality that you are helpless to handle, and he drinks the mortality and he gives you the immortal state of being, which is what the soul is all about. So how does this happen? Because as the man ascends, any man who is a seeker and he gives up the tamasic and the rajasic desires, he doesn't give it up. They fall away because they are not relevant anymore. Then they say he houses the gods, the powers of light, the powers of knowing within his body. And you're living as if you are an image of the deity itself. So he gets a lot of luminous worlds within himself. Jesus now will say, in my Father's house are many rooms, meaning that there are different powers, different gods that will come into you, meaning you get power, you get knowledge, you get health, you get some siddhis, and those siddhis will give you a sense of pride, because you'll think, wow, I'm able to walk on water, I'm able to do this, I'm able to do that, that normal people cannot. And there comes the sattvic pride or the sattvic arrogance. And that is why the divine keeps you waiting, so that even that is completely diffused. Then you have, when you come to that point, what happens is the um, journey is usually referred to as a voyage or a pilgrimage. And if you see all the gurus in Kathopanishad will say that the path is like the edge of a razor blade. You have to be very, very cautious. You don't tumble this side or that side. Jesus will say the path is narrow and straight. It means that you're becoming expanded. Your consciousness is expanding. There is a vastness to you. There is an openness to you. You have broken barriers, but you are still going, and you have so many other accomplishments along the way. Now you have to be able to offer the whole thing in the service of the supreme consciousness. So what happens is you are led by this Rudratvam. Rudra becomes a beneficial helper on the way, and this is called the Guru. And this is also called Subramanya, or the son of Shiva. I'll tell you a little, tiny little story of Subramanya before we go on. I think there is a picture of Subramanya also here. Now, so when one time Shiva opened his third eye, the third eye is the eye of fire, which is the luminosity in the world. Now he opens it so much, and out of that, a huge spark of fire comes up. This huge spark of fire falls into the hands of the ordinary Agni. That ordinary Agni is not able to hold it, and it falls into the river Ganga. Now, Ganga, if you remember, is the Pingala Nadi, or the life force of the vitality of the human being. It floats in that river, that fire, and it goes in near a bush, and it gets stuck there. And it's a bush of reeds. And here, some 6, sometimes they say 6, sometimes they say 7 stars, nakshatras. They are called the 7 mothers, or the 6 mothers, according to the Purana. These 6 mothers come, and they see a child, they see 6 children. So they pick up these children, and each of them nurtures and nourishes this child. Now, what are the stars? They are also aspects of fire. Stars are fire, moon is fire, sun is fire, everything is a vibration of Agni. So these 6, they are called the Kritikas, and the child is called Kartikeya, that has been nourished by the fire of the higher dimension. And then this child, they are living with this child, and then Parvati comes there, the Shakti, the mother, and she sees these 6 children, and she thinks they're so cute. She embraces them, and it becomes one child with 6 faces. So what does it mean? That this fire has created 6 dimensions within the human being at this point. So he is called the Guru. Why is he called the Guru? Because he has been ordained. Because son of Shiva means a smaller aspect. You can't handle the larger aspect. So you have the child, a smaller form of Shiva himself, but very beautiful. And this form is the form of the Guru inside. So many people will worship. He's called Shanmukha, that is Shad, six faces, six dimensions of consciousness through which that fire has spread within the seeker. All are lit up, six dimensions. What are they? The Bhur, Bhuva, Suvaha, Mahaha, Jana, Tapa, Satyam. So the you come to the all the dimensions of consciousness. So automatically all these dimensions are lit up. You become so knowable. You know what is happening now. You know what to do about something. You are without any fear. You know you are immortal. You will see a peacock behind him. That peacock is called Mayura. Mayu means the Shakti, energy. Ra means going forward. So he goes forward on the Shakti, on the mother, the Parvati who has the child, and she will give him what is called a spear. You'll always see this Shanmukha or Subramanya with a spear. What is a spear? It has only one sharp point, unlike the Trishul, which has 3 points. So it shows the one pointed energy of concentration that is rapidly rising above. And then comes the greatest sacrifice with the help of Subramanya, who is called Guru Guha, that is the cave. He is the Guru from the cave. That is the knowledge that comes from the cave, the light, the cows that are imprisoned. These cows that are let out, they are the supreme light. Go means the pranava or the omkar. Go also means light. Go also means earth. And it also means a cow. So this cow that is hidden is actually the omkar, the true omkar, not what we say is a sadhana, that which vibrates within you at that particular time when you have raised your consciousness. And when it vibrates within you, it's vibrating with everything in the universe. So everything you see, you're amazed, is part of who you are. So this is the experience the rishis had. Now, when you have that sort of an experience, what do? Because you don't know how to proceed further. You don't want to go back. And you don't know what to do with yourself in that present situation. So you have Guru Guha or Subramanya. He's called Murugan, which means the beautiful one. He comes to you, Rudra, the benign Rudra. He comes into you and he lifts you up with great love into a higher sphere. But you have not yet reached that top position because this Agni, you have to, it's called this seven-tongued flame of will. So it's Agni, he's Subramanya, and he's called Skanda. Sorry. And then he is the divine worker. He carries you above from earth to heaven. So they will, that is from the mortality to getting a charismatic world where all siddhis exist. This is the where you can dream and your dreams will come true. This is what is called heaven. But the seekers were not interested in heaven. The rishis and the great mystics were interested in merging with the source, which is the ultimate goal. But they will stay for a while with these siddhis, which is all your dream. You think of a gulab jamun, you want to eat it, somebody will come and give it to you at home. So like the siddhis. And if you get attached to the siddhis, you get stuck there, and then slowly you will come tumbling down all the way because it is greed that has propelled your growth. That is a little bit of the tamas or rajas left in that being. Supposing you said all these siddhis are given to me, these powers are given to me like milestones to tell me I'm on the right path. And I could use it only in the Lord's work and not for myself, not because I want to be given an award in the world, or not because I want to be hailed as a great peacemaker or as a um, very strong person, or that is why you have to be very, very careful. I told somebody else also today, somebody is running a very successful business. It might be a good business, maybe a sattvic business, but a business is still a business. You got to be very alert. Is that the way you want to go, or do you want to remain humble and stay where you are? Because on the spiritual path, these can be sattvic temptations that can pull you down, because they are also impermanent. They are not permanent. Okay. So this is Skanda or Subramanya, who gives advice or what do you call it? Guidance to the person who is actualizing his own genetic template. And what was happened is that why is it a genetic template? Because our ancients, they've already ascended and their spirits are alive. And they put in that template so that when we move to their level, we don't have to start from scratch. It's already there and we can go up. That is the sacrifice they did for thousands and thousands of years. Every mystic does it, every guru does it, so that the liberated powers of the mind are set to fly higher. So you then there is no sacrifice without Subramanya or Agni. So the yajna or the havan is called a sacrifice. And when you do a yajna, you're only provoking or stimulating that particular genetic template. If you have gone to that level, you're saying, don't keep anything for yourself. This doesn't belong to you. It's been given to you for a certain purpose. So don't take any pleasure if somebody praises you that you've got it. Don't fall for that. Don't feel upset if somebody blames you that you're not using it for their welfare or for your own welfare. You know, when Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had cancer of the throat, his followers said to him, "You're talking every day to Kali. Why don't you ask her to remove your throat cancer?" Because he couldn't eat. See, esophageal cancer is like that. So he said, "But why should I ask her?" Then they said, "Because then you can eat kheer." He was a very simple man. You see, when you become humble, you become simple also. So the next day he goes to Kali and he says, "Mother, please make my throat okay." So she asks him, "Why do you want to make your throat okay?" So he says, "So that I can eat kheer," he says. So she says to him, "But you are eating it, look around." And he sees many people drinking kheer, and she is trying to, this is the way they said, she is trying to show him that he is not just this body. His consciousness is in everything else around him. So if a lot of people drink kheer, he is drinking it. If somebody is hurt, he is hurt somewhere inside. And that is how certain gurus will know what is happening to somebody who is sitting 20 miles away and the fire has removed their house, because they are in that fire in consciousness, if not in body. You've had these miracles happen with Swami Satyananda, with Shirdi Ki Sai Baba, many such people, because they are able to move past the Pancha Maha Bhutas, which they have controlled, the elements, into places the consciousness needs to move into. And that is what happened with Hanuman. And when I go into the story on the fourth day, we'll see how it happened. So then that person, the Agni is connected to the Mother Earth. So because of the pressure of the father, that is the mind that is being churned up, that is Shiva, the mind is being churned up by Rudra. So you go through hardships and all that. And then the ignorance that they always liken to a python. They say if you do such and such a thing, you'll be born as a python. That's what they mean. That the mind that is ignorant is like a python that just goes around you and prevents you from tasting anything sweeter. So this here you will see that when you go to that point, you have to pour ghee into the fire, havan that we are doing. What is that havan? It is where the fire is burning brightly. The Subramanya is burning brightly. The Guru is burning brightly. And you have to totally surrender your siddhis, all the things that you have acquired, all that is given to the Supreme for his work. Not that he needs it. It is just a way for you to become humble and have unconditional love. You're not expecting anything from the divine. You just want to be in the presence of the divine. Even that is an expectation. And when that goes, the person merges. So this is the story. And what is the ghritam, the ghee that you pour into the um, havan? That is nothing but the honey. That is the soma, means the moon. Soma also means delight. Delight is the luminosity within each person, which gives you, starting with life, thoughts, and then you're moving to higher consciousness, then you get higher powers, charisma, you become, you are in great happiness, you are in great ecstasy, and then you have to give that up also to the divine, because it doesn't belong to you. That's the ultimate sacrifice that was done by the divine in his process of creation. When the divine wanted to create, he concentrated on himself because there was nothing else to concentrate on. He was everything, but he was formless. So when he wanted to make form, he um, meditated, contemplated, and became part of himself. And these parts were the Agni that he sent out, the will, the Sankalpa Shakti that wants the divine to come closer to himself, to come back to the source. So he becomes the universe. It is not that he creates the universe. He becomes the universe because he wants to be Shreya. He wants to be Shivani. He wants to be Rajendra Prasad. He wants to be um, Vijay. He wants to be every being. He wants to be the chair on which you're sitting. He wants to be the table on which you're sitting. He wants to become everything, and he needs the Shakti to manifest it. And this Shakti is his own energy by different names, and they're all manifested in the world. Now he wants to go back because as Shreya wants to go back. That is him in her wanting to go back. Or Shalini, you'd say the delight in him wants to go back. All these years we are playing around with the material things of the world, but a time has come when the Guru comes in. This most beautiful picture you see here is the Guru. It is to show how that Guru comes from your own guha, your own cave, which is in your own unconscious mind. He comes out of there as light and he leads you on. He says, enough of all this superficial running around. You haven't gained anything and you're still running around, but you're in the same place. Give me your hand, I'll take you ahead. So how does he do that? How do you go ahead? Because he gives you the mantra. That's why it's called the Guru Mantra. And what is the purpose of the Guru Mantra? It is the vibration, the initial vibration, which is part of who you are. And with all the help of all these powers or energies or gods, you are lifted up. And when you are lifted up, you have the vibration of the mantra that your Guru sees within you because you are not yet ready to see it. And he says, now keep chanting this vibration. Soon you will become the vibration. And that vibration of the mantra has to be held in your heart. The tantric books will say. Why held in your heart? It comes from the Hridayat Samudrat. It comes from, the vibration comes from the base in the darkness. It has been put in there by the divine. And from there, it comes out as light into our being, delights us. And the mantra is there. Now, it has the capacity to become the form. It has not yet formed. So when that mantra becomes alive within you, that becomes your true Ishta Devata. Your Ishta Devata is not somebody you imagine. That is only the beginning of a technique. Not somebody you visualize. That also is the beginning of a technique. But when the Ishta Devata sits there and you see that Ishta Devata, this is your mantra vibration coming alive with the form. Okay. So this mantra comes alive with the form, your Ishta Devata. Now it has to be established by the intuitive intellect. The high cosmic intellect has to agree that this is it and come forward with this. And that is where the major crisis happens. There is a major crisis, a fight between the divinity, the enlightened mind called Indra, and the person who has got this um, Ishta Devata already, the mantra. And this person says, "Now I have all this mantra and I've done so much." You hear people saying, "No, I've done 4 lakhs, I've done 5 lakhs. Why isn't he coming in front of me?" Because he's telling you actually that that's okay. You have these siddhis, I've given it to you so that you will use them to help other people as and when I decide to do it, not when you decide to. Otherwise, people who are very highly evolved can always say, "I'll give it to my son, I'll give it to my daughter, I'll give it to my close friend." It never happens that way. You'll see that when you reach a certain level, the guru may not give it to his son, he may not give it to somebody he knows. It might be just somebody out of the blue that will get it. Because that mantra, that vibration goes to that person. The guru doesn't see himself giving it. That's why Swamiji will say, "I'm a postman." He has it, the treasure, but he's ordained to give it to somebody because the mantra comes to the person. So when you go to Vaishnav Devi, what do you say? Only when the mother calls, we are able to go. I went 3 times, but then because of the weather, I couldn't go forward. When I'm called, I will go means that you are now at the time period that is ripe for that mantra to manifest itself. You don't visualize, it manifests itself. And when it manifests itself, it takes you higher. And then when you go higher, many nice things happen to you, and you um, are not to get sidetracked with these partial illuminations. That's the meaning. And you go to the highest vibration, and there you merge into the divine light. So this is the meaning of the yajna or sacrifice that we are doing with the Havan. And if you will see, this is exactly how Hanuman handled his life. I'll come to it when we go to the story itself. We won't mix it up today. Hanuman was Rama Bhakta, and who Rama is, we'll talk about in the last day. And then you have this quality of every time that aspect is called Rudra. And then you have to understand what is this Rudra. And here you have the quality in which you are told that the Rudras are sons of Vishnu, sometimes sons of Shiva, and other times they say. What do they mean? They mean that Vishnu and Shiva are the same Paramatma. Vishnu, when he sustains the universes and protects it, is called Vishnu. When he is dissolving it back to the source, he is called Shiva. When he gets the first vibration and starts manifesting himself, he is called Brahmanaspati. This Brahmanaspati came to be called as Ganapati. I told you that in the last class. And you will see that Vishnu is seen as a very beautiful god who is playing the flute and looking very benevolent. But then it's the same Vishnu who comes as Narasimha, or the fierce lion-faced god who tears the abdomen of Prahlada's father. Very fierce being. And the same way you will see Rudra as being very fierce, the Shiva part of it, and then you will see Rudra as being extraordinarily kind, like Hanuman was. He could set Lanka on fire but he could also pick up a squirrel and bring him to Sri Rama. So you have both. In fact, when Lakshmana is asked by Rama while they are going to back to Ayodhya in the chariot, Pushpaka Vimana, flying chariot, Rama asks Lakshmana, between you and I, we have gone through the forests of Dandakaranya. We have gone almost all over the um, various countries and kingdoms, and we've gone to Lanka also, and we are coming back. Which of these journeys did you like the best? And Lakshmana says, from the arms of a saint to the lap of Bhagavan. And Rama says, how is that? Because when Hanuman is hit by a missile from Ravana, he becomes unconscious and falls. Now, Ravana thinks that he could pick him up and go to Lanka, and Rama will um, die of separation grief. But he is trying to lift um, Hanuman, trying to lift, and if he is very heavy, he is not able to lift him up. What is that? That is the garima, anima, lagima, garima, the weight. The weight of him, the weight that is in Ravana's mind is transferred to Hanuman. He is not able to lift up his own weight. That's what it means. And then Hanuman comes, picks him up like a flower, lagima. He becomes so light, he takes him and goes and puts him in Rama's lap. How does Hanuman do it so easily? Like a flower, they say. Because his lagima, his lightness was transferred to Lakshmana's body, and Lakshmana became light in his hands and was put in. So that's what Lakshmana means, from the arms of a saint to the lap of God. So this is the Rudra. The Rudras are seen as, the Rudras, I say many, they are fierce, tempest, storm, wind. They share the same name with Agni because it's fire, and it because of the Mahaprana in it, because they also belong to Vayu. They come as great, it's a dynamic energy that comes, there is rain and then there is a fire coming in front. I don't know if any of you were there when Swami Niranjan started the first Pasupata Astra Yajna. There was heavy rain, it flooded that place, and people got up and started moving backwards. The audience that was sitting, I happened to be there. And then suddenly the fire shot up from the Havan and it just went very high. So Swamiji said, this is Parjanya, that aspect. So what they are saying here is very, very, it's a clue that Indra, who is supposed to be the eldest of the Maruth, because the Maruths are thought bundles. The entire mind, which is full of thoughts, is taken by Indra. So they say he is the eldest brother of the Maruths. Now, they say Indra is also a person who sends down rain and thunder. What do they mean here? They say that he breaks down rigid establishments. He makes a way for new formations in your mind, in the mind of the collective consciousness of humankind. Also, other creations, you will see, if you see many WhatsApp pictures of animals acting like human beings and more tender sometimes than you will read in the papers. The rains come down, and with that they pierce the mind, the enlightened mind, and they give him a different perspective and perception of what this uh, limitless consciousness is all about. Unless you have had the power of the gods to push you up, you will not be able to handle such energy. You can fuse like a bulb. So what happens when the violent struggle goes on? The mind of the human being turns into a battlefield. This is what the Chandi part is all about. They start with two people, Surata and Samadhi, and then they go to Mahishasura. It is nothing but telling you what is happening at a certain level. Mahishasura is the ego, although he's a great bhakta. So the human mind is sort of like alarmed at that experience because you haven't been used to anything like this. The problems you have and the tensions and stress you have is so superficial, you can handle it or move away from it. But now that you are the seeker and you are going higher and higher and you're being tested to see whether you can handle it, because the divine does not want you to get hurt. Then when it starts perfecting the mental state, all your desires, your clearness, all that has to be changed, transformed into something divine. So the Maruts are working, Rudra is working, and Indra is pushing up, and all this happens. And when all this happens, it's like you hear Buddha went and sat under the tree, and the events that happened to him during his enlightenment, Jesus in the wilderness. This is a tremendous power struggle between the human being who has a great yearning to be part of the divine, and the divine saying, you might have the yearning, but it is I who decide. So you call it grace and the person essence. So this is what Hanuman is from that point of view. Now I want to move into something else because this is about Hanuman as a Rudra. So we are going into who is this Rudra? We say the son of Shiva. We say it's Agni, the vibration. But what exactly is it? And now you are moving into physics, past quantum physics. So I'm telling you what the rishis experience. The reason I'm doing this, I could have told you a nice fairy story about Anjaneya, but I'm telling you this because this is the depth and the magnitude of what Anjaneya is. And if you don't know this, when you'll be saying the Hanuman Chalisa, you think that you're talking to somebody who's like a small-time god or something like that. But you have to know the power of this consciousness that you call Anjaneya or Hanuman. So what are Rudras? They are called the Bija mantras in space because space is the first beginning of manifestation. And everything is already there in the Guha, Guru Guha, he is called. That is, sound is the first creation in space, and sound moves in space. The Bija mantras. Om is also a Bija mantra. By the mantra, the seeker creates the God within himself. That is the Ishta Devata. So he's called the parent of the child. So you have Bala Krishna, Bala Subramanya, Bala Gopala. These are ways to tell you that you have created this energy within yourself. It is your birth as the child. Bala Tripura Sundari. All this. And then when you surrender to that divine, what happens is you realize the force that has started the vibrations. You can go right up to creation and you see this. And there are 11 types of such vibrations. So they'll say there are 11 Rudras, and Ravan had his Ishta Devata was Shiva. Not that he imagined, but it was the true thing. And he propitiated 10 Rudras with his 10 by cutting off his 10 heads. He left out the 11th Rudra. Now, when you propitiate, it means that you become part of that divine form. And when you become part of that divine form, you don't hurt yourself. So that divine will not hurt you. So these 10 Rudras did not hurt Ravan at all because he was so highly evolved. So the entire universe and its spaces are filled with these 11 types of vibrations. Each dimension in you is one force field. There are 11 dimensions of space. So the first vibration is called Nilakanta Mahadeva. It is a great force born from the um, link between the Linga and the Amba, Yoni. In other words, where the consciousness and its energy is joined together, they split. Consciousness remains formless and energy goes out, Shakti goes out and becomes the universe. This first split is called Nilakanta. Of course, in um, story language, we'll say that Shiva swallowed the poison and then Shakti, as Tara, came and held his throat so that the poison would not go down and it became blue in color. This is how they tell you in stories. But the point is, when the split happens, the vibrations become the universe of beings. And when the Rishi goes back to that field of union between Shiva and Shakti, he moves through that Nila Lohita Mahadeva, or through that particular vibrational field. So this is the first one. Now we are talking of creation, not of going back, because the seeker will have to go through these dimensions. The second vibration is called Kalagni Purusha. They are all Shiva, called Shiva. It's a force field of darkness, what you might call dark matter today, and which forces a fire on Amba. That is, she has split from Shiva, that point of his energy, and on that energy, it manifests as Agni. Remember, I told you the story of Parvati picking up Shanmukha. So it manifests as Agni on Amba, the mother, and it is present, that fire is present throughout the universe. Everywhere that fire is present. Then you have third, fourth, and fifth Rudras. The first one is the fundamental layer of space or prana. Second is all matter, including the biological beings, are included in that space. It's four-dimensional. The 3, 4, 5. Fifth is Vilohita. First is Bhima Rudra, that tremendous, and the Virupaksha. Fourth. And the fifth is Vilohita, is where matter happens depending on the quality of impact by this field. So matter can be tamasic, rocks, stones, or it can be rajasic, which might be movement oriented like waters, fire. These three together are three vibrational force fields. And this what is called Agni Kala or Marichi. If you remember in Surya Namaskar, we say Om Marichaye Namaha. What is Marichi? Marichi is the force field which is now filled with particles. So from the separation, you get darkness, then you get fire, and then you get particles in that. So you see how it is going. Then when you get these particles, there are vibrational strings that form on Amba. These are three different types of vibrations. These form the 6th, 7th, and 8th dimensions. They are the core particles of what we call Hridayam, Hridayat Samudra. In that darkness, there is the strings of energy that flow through it. The core particles of this are called Hridayam. It's called Chandrama because it's subtle. Chandrama means the moon. It's not this moon they're talking about. The particles that go round and round the core of Shiva Shakti. This is what is called the moon which brings delight, not this moon. These vibrations are immortal. That is the 6th, 7th, and 8th. The matter particles formed out of these is mortal. They have death. So this force field is hidden. It is hidden and curled up in particles. That is why we say Kundalini is curled up within the particle in the Mooladhara chakra, not in mine and your Mooladhara chakra, but the Mooladhara chakra of the universe, of which a little bit is with us also. And this force field with all this, where it is hidden, is called Tripurantaka. Why Tripurantaka? In these three puras, three dimensions of consciousness, it shows you the anta, the end of what is hidden. Then you have another three vibrations, that is the 9th, 10th, 11th. This 9th, 10th, 11th is called Trayambaka. The 9th is the basis of life, something like the template I was talking about. Why the certain things form a monkey which has a tail and jumps, and why something has two wings and flies, and why somebody has two legs and walks on the ground. It makes each thing specific. That is the template from which each specificity comes, and that is the 9th. Then 10th becomes the what you call the ashtavasus, or the delight that is felt in each of these parts of the body. And the 11th is the medium of life itself. So the 10 force fields, these 10 vibrations, or which are called Rudras, of which the Trayambaka, remember we said Trayambakam Yajamahe, the Trayambaka is the three, the 9th, 10th, and 11th vibrations together is called Trayambakam. And if you are able to control the 10 Panchabhutas through your 10 Karmendriyas and Jnanendriyas, then you can go into Samadhi. That is, with the body, you become a realized soul. But you remain until the divine asks you to come in and merge with him, because you remain as his servant to elevate other souls, which is what Hanuman did. Now, Hanuman had what was called Jiva Samadhi. Now, the Rudra, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, they say that the 10 organs in the body, that is the Karmendriyas and the Jnanendriyas, these contain the vibrations of the 10 Rudras dormantly. The 10th is prana, the life force that is given to it, and the 11th is the Atma. So all the Rudras, Rodati means crying. All the Rudras, when they leave the body and they go with the Atma, the people around cry because they are attached to this physical body in which the Atma traveled all the days in its specific lifetime. So you have the 11th Rudra, and that 11th Rudra is the one who facilitates the release of the Atma from the physical body and allows it to fly upwards. This is called the Adhyatmika Sri Rudra. And this vibration was not propitiated by Ravana. He only did meditation on the 10 Rudras. The 11th one was not propitiated, which helps the Atma to leave the body and go into a higher dimension of consciousness, because he had chosen to hate for 3 lifetimes. And because he chose to hate, the Atma was liberated within 3 lifetimes. This is the second lifetime, as against someone who loved, and that a person who loves will reach the supreme in 7 lifetimes. But here he chose to hate the divine so that he could go quickly to the divine from whom he was separated. So he was a being of extraordinarily high evolution, and by making one little mistake of complacency, the story I'll tell you later, I've said it in the Ramayana many times, and I think some of the people here have made a book out of these classes, I don't know. So Rudras are all forms of Agni, and this particular Rudra, the 11th one, who helps the soul to leave the Pancha Mahabhutas and go higher and merge with the divine. That 11th was not propitiated. So in the end, it was Hanuman who facilitated this when Sri Rama sent one arrow, and Ravana was liberated and merged with Rama. Now, how did Hanuman facilitate it? Because Hanuman uh, carried the Taraka mantra, which is Rama. Rama is said to be a being who helps you to cross over. So he crossed Ayodhya, he crossed the Ganga, he crossed the forest, he crossed into another land, he came back crossing all the way. That was physically. And then he helped um, the first arrow, which was shot as Tataka, who was a Rakshashi, to get moksha. He blessed Shabari, who was a huntress, to get moksha. He blessed Vali, who was an animal, to get moksha. He blessed Jatayu, a bird, to get moksha. So anything could be taken from one point to another point to help to be crossed over such a guru. That is Omkar. Omkar is the Taraka mantra. Because Rama was filled with this Omkar, he was called Taraka Rama. And Tara Devi is the Shakti of Sri Rama, who, and later I'll tell you the fourth, it's very, very fascinating. Tara is uh, the Shakti that helps you to cross Tarana, Nakshatra, Netra. All that means with Netra eyes, what do? You see past one thing that you're seeing to a large. You can see the horizon with your eyes. If you are blind, you don't see it. Perception becomes wider. Stars, they help you cross over one place to another place in the night, the light. And Rama mantra, which Hanuman held in his mouth because he carried the ring in his mouth that Rama gave him to give it to Sita. He carried it in his mouth because he was afraid that it will fall off his hands when he's crossing over to Lanka in case he needed to fight or do something else. So he was that wise. So he carried the ring in his mouth and delivered it to Sita, who at that time is the Jivatma. And when they say that he delivered it to her, he held it in his mouth, it means that he was chanting the Rama mantra with his mouth, and that was what helped him to cross over the um, oceans and get so many other siddhis that he used. We'll come to that in the Ramayana, fourth day. And all his siddhis came from, that is Rudratvam, from Shiva, and Shiva's aspect as Vishnu, which was Sri Rama. So the Rama mantra was chanted by him, gave him all the siddhis that he used wisely and used only in the service of the Lord and not for himself at any point. So this is the 539. So this is the aspect that I wanted to tell you. Now, if at all you want some other time, we can talk about the Rudratvam and all. I'm just giving you different perspectives into seeing the magnitude of what is Rudra. And when you say Anjanaya became the avatar of Rudra when he set fire to Lanka, to everything that Ravan had, which was near and dear to him, his wealth, his power, his position, his family, his knowledge, even his bhakti to Shiva. Everything was destroyed for him to be liberated. And that was started by Hanuman because Shiva himself came into Rudra to liberate his devotee who was Ravana. So, any questions we can take on the last day. I want you to go off with these ideas in your mind so that you can look into the depth, the greatness, the magnitude of what we call Hanuman, and to whom, when we sing the Hanuman Chalisa, we think it is to just some sort of small godlike person. But this is who you are calling. You're calling your guru. You're calling the Rudratvam. You're saying, look, I've had so many difficulties in life. I accept it, I acknowledge it, and I accept it as a test for me. It is an anugraha, your blessing. When you are with me, nothing can happen to me. So I'm safe and I'm stable in your devotion. I'm satisfied being your servant. So this is what Anjaneya is all about. So we'll sit quietly, chant Omkar, and then as you hear the rest of the Hanuman Chalisa being played, you will know who you are talking to at this point, and slowly you move into what Hanuman is truly all about. So close your eyes. Shivani, you can put the rest. And we'll chant Om 3 times, breathing in. Om. Om.
दीहा तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्त्र जो जन पर भानु, लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानू। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेली मुख माही, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना।
So you can see, Kahu ko darna. When I know you are there, what am I being afraid of? So we have another 15 minutes, sort of. So anybody has any questions on this, you want to understand something you didn't understand, you're free to ask. We have 10 minutes. Yanas, Shivani?
Actually, Swamiji, we supposed to end at 5:30, but if you have...
Oh, it's 1 hour. Okay. Then that's fine. We'll do it tomorrow, day after tomorrow then.
Okay.
I kept thinking it's 1.5 hours. That's fine then. So
Sorry.
keep this in mind then, the Rudratvam, and see what a powerful personality you're asking to come and help you, and see if you really want that help to move higher, in which case are you prepared to take the gifts that he gives you, the difficulties, the stresses, the crisis, with faith. So eventually it all comes down to faith. Hari Om, that's it.
Hari Om, Swamiji.